All right, welcome back to another edition of Nerd Enthusiast Poker Podcast. We have a little special edition for you today that we're going to get into. But before we do, make sure you check out our sponsor, The Slot Squad, twitch.tv/The Slot Squad. Make sure you go there and follow them. Exclusive #1 place for all the sign-up bonuses in the United States for all the legal casinos. You can go check us out there. We stream every night, but we have giveaways and all kinds of bonuses as well. And you can also sign up for sports betting sites there as well. So if you're not a casino guy or a poker guy, you can go check out the sports betting stuff. So theslotsquad.com. Go check it out. Make sure you also check out all our social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, literally everything. And then we also have a Patreon, which has exclusive content that you can subscribe to and get free videos, bonus polls, everything. You guys get to choose some of the stuff that we talk about. And we have all the other stuff on there too, like video games, poker, besides poker. We got wrestling, movies, music, literally everything on there. We're a whole brand. So go there and check it out. All right, so we're live. We have an interview today. We have our friend here who is, I would say this. If you grind tournaments in the Northeast, you've played against our friend today. We have Michael Marder here. What's up, man?
How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good. So we just kind of want to dive in. We see you around a lot. I know you have some impressive stats, and we kind of want to get into it. So, Bri, if you want to kind of maybe get into it with, maybe a little background. What's up?
So
who is the Michael Marder?
Yeah, throwing it back to like the chat room days. Let me get your age, sex, and location.
So, we know he's a male.
Where do you live? Well, we don't know that. We don't know what he identifies with.
Well, that's true.
2022,
that's
bro.
true.
Relax.
Okay.
So, where do you lay your head? Give us some stats on yourself.
I'm 35. I live in South Jersey, Washington Township.
Just be a little closer. There you go. Perfect.
I am a male. Identify as a male.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So there we go. Sewell? Is that where
Sewell,
it's at?
yeah.
Sewell?
That's
Yeah.
the
I mean,
male
I've seen like your, the chip count thing, and I'm like, there he is again on the chip list, and Sewell, New Jersey. So just a little background. Where'd you go? Like, if you don't mind saying, like, where'd you go to high school? Like, what was your upbringing, as so to speak? Like, where'd you go to college? Stuff like that.
So I went to Washington Township High School. I went to college at the College of New Jersey, majored in political science. Never really did anything with that. I think the original goal in my mind at the time was to go to law school. But then by the time I realized that I really didn't like political science and I could probably major in anything to go to law school, by the time I realized I should probably change my major, I was into poker anyway. So
they don't tell you that too. Like
Yeah.
a lot of stuff is like BS. Like you really don't need like half the stuff they
Yeah.
tell you to get into the field of what you're going into.
It's funny because like at Stockton we had a political science teacher, and he was probably like one of the best professors in the entire college, and having a conversation with him on the side, like, what got you into political science? And he's like, yeah, I just wanted to teach it. And like he taught teach it, like he had Rocky in his, you know what I'm talking about. It was like incredible. The class was incredible, but it's like, what am I gonna do with this?
So when did you get into poker?
I got into poker when a lot of people did, the Moneymaker era.
Same, yeah.
High school with some friends, probably like junior year of high school, around 2003.
So wait, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, so you were in high school right when we were in college at the same point.
Yeah.
So right when the Moneymaker boom happened. Did you guys start playing cash games, tournaments? How?
Yeah, both. We just started playing some small home games with a small group of us in high school. We would all have like our little change jars, play like nickels, dimes, and quarters.
Yeah.
We played some cash. We played some tournaments. We probably made up some rules that weren't real. I don't know.
like going beyond like ace high.
No,
over the street.
listen, I remember.
About this.
You know what, dude? I remember in the early days too. Like I remember playing. I think it was. I don't even know if you were there. We played in like a tournament or something like at someone's house, and we were dealing the wrong way the entire time.
Oh,
like,
wow.
You're like dealing backwards. Like, yeah.
I think one of my favorite memories of that. I think I stacked a guy who actually had substantially more chips than me, because he went all in, and we just assumed that like if he went all in, like, and I just get all his chips. It doesn't matter how many I have. And then we all like made fun of him for going all in. We're like, why did he didn't even have to bet that much? Like, he could.
It's funny because like I look back to, so we're a little bit older than you. We're both 38. We'll be 39 this year. So we started playing in college with like the whole Moneymaker effect,
Right.
and it's just funny to go back and think of how we played as a group, not just as an individual, but as a group. And it's like, holy shit, like, we've come light years from those days. And it's funny because every now and then I reconnect with like my buddies from college.
Yeah.
And we'll BS. We'll like, we'll have a fantasy draft and we'll play some like Hold'em or whatever. And just the fact that they're still playing in 2003, and I'm just like, oh my god, like you guys are terrible.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
So were you like an early XL of the group, or was there anyone else that kind of stood out that took off? Or
actually, no. I was probably one of the weaker players in the group, I think, when we first started. I mean, like maybe middle of the pack, but there were definitely like two of my friends were substantially better than the rest of us. The one guy doesn't play anymore. But the other guy, he plays a little bit now. He was playing more, but then he got into sports betting and has been doing well with that. Andrew Benedict, I don't know if he's been around the local scene a little bit from online stuff too. But.
You started picking up in college, and then did you decide like I'm just gonna play full time, or like where was the transition at that point?
It was more of just like, I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like I really had a passion for it. I was playing online. I played like heads up with anyone that wanted to play heads up in college. Like I would play every home game I could find, every like small group I could get into. Any chance I had to get down to the casinos, I would go down to the casinos. And I don't know, it was more just like as a personality, like when I find something like that, like I'm really into it, and I just get like, and I mean, I think I just like have like gambling in my blood, and I was like, well, like, no, seriously,
I love it. No, I love
it. I was like, well, here's something I could like maybe figure out how to beat, like as opposed to just like constantly losing all my money gambling. So like I better get good at this, like. So that's all it really was.
That's cool.
So
so kind of piggybacking off that, like I'm assuming right now you play professionally. Is that like that's your primary? Yeah. Okay. You went to school, TCNJ. It's not.
And if you don't know, TCNJ is a pretty solid school.
Yeah. So it obviously wasn't like chump change to go there. Can I make the assumption like your parents helped front the bill, or?
Well, I did have a scholarship for most of it when I went there.
Oh, okay.
And then, I mean, unfortunately, my grades did slip at the end, and I kind of lost a scholarship. Never actually graduated, by the way.
Oh, no.
Yeah, senior year, just poker kind of took over, and obviously my parents weren't thrilled about that at the time.
Yeah, that was a future question.
That's kind of where
that's
I'm
like,
at.
you know, like how do you sell that? Like, you know, how did you sell that to your parents? Like, oh, by the way.
It took a while, yeah. But they came around, so.
Well, I mean, your stats kind of tell it. Like, I mean, we were looking at it earlier, and like I said, I mean, you might recognize us, but we absolutely recognize you. You know what I mean? Just from seeing you play, and obviously, you know, your stats speak for themselves. You know, we were talking upstairs beforehand, like, man, like, what kind of sell was that to, you know, your parents to say, hey, listen, you know, I went to school, and I'm not going to do, like, the traditional job thing. I'm just going to, you know, play poker.
Did you have a job as well, or in the early days, or? I
had a lot of, several, like, part-time kind of, like, minimum wage type jobs where I was just, like, you know, I would get a paycheck, basically, to go grind 1-2 with. I worked at a telemarketing place for a while, where they did like fundraising calls, like fundraising cold calls.
Yeah.
It's a fun group of people. The job itself was awful, but I mean, fun group of people. Met some people there. I worked at the dollar store for a while.
It's my spot. I'm not gonna lie. I love this dollar store.
I worked at Wawa back in the day. Worked as a bank teller for a while with TD Commerce Bank, but yeah.
So it's kind of full. Now, when was the moment when you were like, F it, I'm out, like I'm going full force? Like, when was there a moment, or was there a time, or like?
A little bit, yeah. I guess it was right around like 2000, I want to say like 2011, in that neighborhood. At the time, I was working at the dollar store and the telemarketing place.
Okay.
I had a good score at Delaware Park.
I'm pulling up your stats here. I'm trying to catch up to where you're
There's
at.
like a 9K score at Delaware Park, which at the time for me was kind of big.
So I got so I got 7th place, around 9th place for 7,200 Delaware Park. Is that the one we're thinking of?
All right, that might have been it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was right around there.
Okay, that was March 31st of 2012, which is almost
10 years.
Yeah, that sounds
10
about
years.
right.
That's
Okay.
about 10 years to the date almost.
Yeah, Delaware Park used to be my spot. I love that place.
I did listen. I used to go down there because it's actually probably closer to you, right? Because it's probably like only a 40 minute.
Yeah,
because I would say from here it's like a straight hour, and as long as you could avoid the traffic, it was a straight shot hour. It was actually faster to get there than Atlantic City. So I actually liked Delaware Park. I liked they had nice tables and everything. And what I also liked was I love playing mixed games. So they were like one of the only casinos that when they had their tournament series, they would have those like PLO games for like $150 or like mixed games or horse games. Like, I don't know if you remember that, but so I would always look forward to going down there for those. But yeah, Delaware Park was a spot. Yeah.
After that, I actually quit the dollar store. I kept the telemarketing job.
You're like, I can buy 7,000 things in here right now.
Yeah. So I wanted to
Buy this
like
place.
pursue poker a little bit more, and then around that same time, I thought it was a winter open, so I don't know, somewhere in that same neighborhood. At Borgata, there was like one of their opening events of the winter open.
It was. I think I have it right here for you. The summer. Are you talking about the $2,500 buy-in one?
No, before that. I think it was winter of that year though. There was like a $500 tournament that I got
Right at
third.
the bottom.
Oh,
Third-
right here. Yeah. It was 15,000. You scored in January.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got third place in that. We actually did like a modified chop 3-handed. So I ended up taking like 20K for that. And then after that is when I left the telemarketing job and basically went, all out for poker.
Yeah. So from like, I mean, that was definitely a breakout because I'm looking at it right now. So January you hit for 15K. You have a couple little hits here and there, and then in March you hit for another 7K. So that's with the chop. So you're at like 27K. And then all of a sudden you go into June at the Summer Brigada Open. You want to talk a little bit about that because that's obviously a massive score.
So that was my breakout score, I guess. Second place in that.
I'm still waiting for one of those, by the way.
Seriously.
It's
I had those like 9Ks. There's 20Ks. I just haven't had the 6-figure case.
yeah, that was obviously a fun time. So I wasn't sure like that year if I was going to go out for the World Series. I'd never really done that before. I had just grinded locally. And so actually a little bit before that, in Harrah's, Atlantic City, they were running satellites for the World Series of Poker main event.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like their turnouts were not great. Like no one really showed up for them. So I ended up buying into an $1,100 satellite for the WSOP main event, but it ended up being basically like a single table. I think they gave, or they didn't quite get enough to like give the seat. So I ended up winning that for like some amount of cash that was like less than 10,000. And I was like, well, I could go out for the World Series. Then I saw the Summer Open coming up at the Borgata. I had never really played like a tournament that big before. And I started talking to some people actually about selling action, which is something that I had not gotten into before in the past. I had no idea what that was. So people explained it to me, and I sold some action to some friends and people I knew, and ended up getting second place in that tournament. So
First time selling action. Hey guys,
You got
return on investment.
it was the first time I ever sold action for a tournament. Yeah, it was just kind of crazy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, so he banged for that one, and he came in. Was it a chop, or did you take a straight second place?
No, straight second place.
So, and who won that event? Do you remember?
That was what was his name? Milad Marji, I believe his name was. Yeah, we basically, it was actually a crazy hand. I remember I ended up like 6-betting all in. We were pretty deep. Yeah, I think it was a 6-bet. We were, I want to say like dead even in stacks, 45 to 50 big blinds effective. And I 6-bet all in with pocket sevens, and he called with ace queen. I lost a flip, so it was like a 90K flip, no big deal.
For a house, flipping for a house. You want to flip a quarter for this house over here?
It's crazy.
Yeah, whatever. Sure.
It's great that you remember those, because I remember like flipping, for a 3K win with the hand that I lost in. Same feeling though, same emotions.
So then, kind of looks like then from there you were just full force ahead. Now, after that point, did you go into any kind of backing mode, or are you still like straight on your own, or like what's the situation going forward from that moment?
I mean, obviously, I had a group of happy investors from that tournament. So
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
So from a networking perspective, that worked out pretty nicely. So I still sell to a small group, some of the same people actually, for all live tournaments that I play. And so I just do it privately with them. I don't publicly sell action. Yeah. And it's a nice little setup because this way, like, I don't have to pick and choose. I always feel bad, like, people say, like, oh, they sell for some bigger buy-ins and don't sell for the smaller buy-ins. But then if you're dealing with the same people and you get, like, a big score and a smaller buy-in, and then meanwhile you just bricked, like, 10 in a row that they had action in, but they don't have any action. Like, I kind of feel bad for that. So, like, I have, it's like 4 or 5 people. They all have, like, a set percentage of any live tournament I play. And I just keep them updated. Like, I have a group chat on Telegram where I just, like, send the updates. I'm like, oh, this is what we're playing today, guys. Keep track of the balances one way or the other. And, they enjoy the sweat. And I actually enjoy, like, even for smaller buy-ins, like, I don't mind them having action because it's kind of fun. Like, it motivates me. Like,
I feel the same way. Like, when I've won some decent scores and I've had people like, oh, man, don't you hate paying out? And I'm like, honestly, no.
I like it.
Couple reasons. Like, one, you're keeping your investors happy, which means they're going to invest into further things. But 2, it feels like a team winning. Like, you feel like, poker's a very solo sport. So that having that feeling of, camaraderie and, people on your side cheering you on that have, like, a piece of it, like, it feels good,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Now, are the people that are in your corner, they're poker players as well?
Some of them are poker players, recreational poker players,
but they understand the game.
Oh yeah,
basically
they all understand and have at least played to some degree.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, that's what I like with, like, I don't want to say like backing, because like what we do, it's kind of like swapping action.
Yeah, like we swap a lot of action.
Like he and I pretty much like kind of similar. Like it's kind of an unwritten rule. Like we'll tell each other what we're gonna do, but it's pretty much like 5-10%, whatever. But what's really good that I like about that is that, like, you can kind of feed off each other, like, hey, I was just in this spot with this, what are you thinking, like, what would you have done here, like, and he has an investment where he kind of wants to give me feedback, whereas you're talking to someone random, they might not necessarily know, and you're texting them like, I ran into this spot, and they're like,
no, yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean, like,
no, for sure. I say recreational, but actually they're all, like, fairly serious players. They just wouldn't identify themselves
as professionals.
I think only one of them would, I think. So
yeah. But they understand, like, when you get into a spot, why you did what you did, and they're not, like, beating you up over it.
No,
whereas, like, there's some people who are, like, they don't understand the game.
No, they're all great. And I've been close with them for years, and they play themselves. They play online, some of them, so yeah.
So then, I'm just rolling through here. You got some decent scores, like 10 grand here, 15 grand here. Was there ever a time where, like, during the next few years that you were, like, burnt out and you just felt like, that I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore, or were you just always content, or how did that go for the next few years after that?
I don't think I ever really felt burnt out. Just like my personality, I don't really get burnt out per se. There were definitely some cold streaks and some downswings that weren't fun. But, I just always, like, I just play through them. I mean, I've been able to do that, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through it. And I know that you've been consistent throughout because I've seen you around for the last 10, 15 years. So I know, like, you've been in the game going through. And then, so we go to 2018. We'll flash forward to there.
Yeah, that was a good year.
Yeah, so I can see that. So it looks like January of 2018, you played the 3500 WPT. You final table that one, and so that score was for $181,000, which looks like that was your next biggest score to date that I saw.
Yeah.
I don't think I missed anything in between. And then you also, so that was January, and then we'll talk about the next one in a minute. But so how did that one go? That final table? Did you remember anything about that one?
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun, and actually that came like right before that, I was kind of on one of those cold streaks for a little while, so that one felt pretty good. Like, earlier on in that series, I remember, I think I got like 18th or something like that in the
Yeah.
the opening event.
16th.
Or so, yeah, and that was actually really frustrating.
Listen, this is how you know Marder's a hell of a poker player. He has like a couple hundred cashes, and he's like, yeah, it was like 16th place. Like he knows like exactly what.
But I feel like you remember those.
You remember-
Like, you
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
the ones where you make those deep runs.
You remember
Yeah.
certain moments.
Yeah.
And like that one especially was a very frustrating 16th place. I remember because like I had a lot of chips, and I just kept running into like unavoidable spots and coolers and beats where I just lost like big all ins. And the swing, like even the next jump I remember was like a big jump for 15th, and then there were 6 figures up top. It felt really good to make a run on the main in that series. Of
Yeah,
course.
like vindication.
Yeah, and that was a fun final table. One of my good friends and one of my favorite players, Joe McKeon, was at that final table. I did actually put a pretty nasty beat on him. I remember that, and it was really that I always call like one of the things I hate in poker is when I say I don't like to waste a good suck out. Like, and people know what I mean. Like, so there were
Some people deserve it, you mean?
no.
No, like he means like he wants to suck out the count. Like when he does suck out, like he
when
wants
it, when it
Exactly.
matters.
So,
I got
like,
you.
we were 5-handed, and I actually flopped a set of 3s. He flopped a nut straight from the big blind. We got it all in the flop, pretty standard. Board ran queens. I made a full house. So I doubled up, but I still got 5th place in the tournament. So that's what I mean. Like that suck out didn't even end up matter. I could have just
Yeah.
busted 5th right there. And then, he still needles me about it to this day. Like, he's like, yeah, you just had to take me down with you, Marder. Like, what the like, you just.
Come on.
Like, yeah.
This guy. Like, that means anything in his legacy as a poker player.
yeah.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
You want to win
always-
them all. I
of
get
course,
it.
yeah. I wore my Nick Foles jersey at the final table of that. Joe still brings that up too. Joe's a huge Eagles fan.
Yeah, I've
Philly
seen him
sports fan,
post it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And Eagles won the Super Bowl that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.